There is a report circulating around a number of national newspapers at the moment. I'm reading this from the Daily Mirror, so I'm just going to read out some of the report. I won't read out all of it because that would be a bit monotonous, but I'll read out enough so that you get the idea, and as always, I'll put a link on the video. As the shelf stacker who abandoned wife and young child to join ISIS jailed for 8 years. Muslim convert Ryan Council, 28, blamed Brexit for his decision to seek an idyllic life under Sharia law after booking a week's holiday from his floor assistant role to travel to the Philippines. He wanted to join ISIS group Abu Sayyaf, which regularly clashes with the Philippine army, and was ready to embark on his journey when he was arrested at Stansted Airport last July. Counsel from Nottingham later claimed he wanted to leave Britain as there was increased tension in the Muslim community after the Brexit vote. That isn't elaborated on. The dad of two was convicted last month of 3 counts of possessing documents with terrorist material and 1 count of engaging in conduct and preparation of terrorist acts after a 4-week trial. And there's some photos showing the material that he had prepared, his backpack and so on. The jury heard how he spent almost £900 on military-style boots, camouflage clothing, Kevlar boxer shorts and a cheek pad to be attached to the stock of a rifle to engage in combat. Council had also booked a return ticket from London to Manila and a connecting flight to Zamboanga, 20 miles from Basilan. Defending, John Kearney said Council was a bit odd but not violent or an extremist. Well, that's always the excuse, isn't it? Mr. Kearney said he wanted to leave the UK to live a humble, simple life in the Muslim community. He discussed going to Somalia. I'll explain afterwards why I'm laughing. He considered going to Bosnia, and he considered the Philippines. He wanted to live in a community under Sharia law with what he saw as an idyllic way of life. After Brexit, there was divisions in his community in Nottingham. He was concerned about the way ordinary people react to ordinary Muslims. With that background, he was looking for a different way of life. He was convicted on the basis that that was what he intended to do, but not something he would have been able to do. I repeat, for him to join that group, the idea is quite frankly absurd. Police raided his home after they were alerted to his purchases of military equipment from a website. Kudos to the person who was assertive in that regard and tipped off the police. Very important. Officers found military and camping equipment and a wealth of Islamic extremist material, including copies of the Al-Qaeda magazine Inspire, the ISIS version called Dabiq, and lectures by Anwar al-Awlaki, an influential extremist preacher. Police also found bomb-making instructions, a document of practical advice for travelling to join ISIS, and videos showing the decapitation of prisoners by terrorists. Among the electronic documents were 22 copies of Hijrah, Migrate to the Islamic State from 2015, which provided practical advice for someone wanting to travel to Syria to join ISIS. The material also included 10 copies of the first edition of the online magazine Inspire, published by Al-Qaeda, including an article titled Make a Bomb in the Kitchen of Your Mum, which showed how to make a homemade pipe bomb. He married his wife Fatima in May 2012 after meeting her through an Islamic matchmaking service. Fatima was originally from Somalia and her parents lived in the Netherlands. Counsel said he did not tell his wife about his plans for the Philippines as she was sceptical about the life he wanted to lead. I was laughing in terms of the excuses made by his counsel. Now, in the UK we have due process. I understand that even terrorist scum like this need due process, and I will always defend due process. But I'm laughing because the excuses that are made are they seem to wear pretty thin. The council could have come up with something better than that. Let's be quite clear. I think if we go down the lines of always making excuses for these people, like the vulnerable, the impressionable, blaming mental health issues, it's problematic in many regards. Firstly, not that mental health was really brought into this, but I think there are situations where mental health is always instinctively brought up. Like, this person's a terrorist, so they must have been brainwashed. The problem with that is it mitigates all personal responsibility. this guy knew what he was doing. Now, I took the view that someone with serious mental health problems, for example, a serious learning difficulty, would not be able to plan a trip to the other side of the world. That takes some organizing. And, to be able to stock up. This guy, as for wanting a peaceful life, Somalia, yeah, that's very idyllic. Um, I think the excuses just wear thin. And I think that there seems to be a trend with this. People can point fingers when it comes to Syria, and there's all the politics in that about who started it and who will finish it and all the rest of it. But I think what everyone can agree, whatever, whoever you thought started the war, I think everyone can agree that the likes of Daesh is a vicious death cult. So it is very difficult to believe that someone can honestly look at a group like this and claim that they didn't know what it was all about. I saw that excuse coming from a German convert recently. He was interviewed by, can't remember if it was Channel 4 or the BBC, but he said, "Oh, I didn't really know that they beheaded prisoners in German." Um, and what I find is converts tend to be some of the most fanatical and extreme in terms of their zealous defense of this ideology. And frankly, that's why I always raise an eyebrow with converts. This is not to say that every convert is a potential terrorist, but there does seem to be a disproportionate number, frankly, of white Western converts who convert to Islam, and they tend to go down the path not of enlightenment, but of jihad. And I'm not talking about jihad in the sense of struggle. I'm talking about the terrorist type of jihad. There seems to be a disproportionate number. So if converts wonder why people look at them with suspicion, they need to consider the number of converts who end up like this. As for blaming Brexit, my God, is this guy really, really trying to convince a jury that before Brexit he was completely secular and he never thought about this? Give me a break. I just find that utterly, I think it's a complete card's excuse. Um, there was no shortage of Islamists before Brexit, and I think it probably has had minimal effect on influencing jihadists. It could be a convenient excuse for them, but as for an actual factor, no. These people hate the UK, whether it's in the EU or not. It's a Western country. It's a secular country. And being in the EU, I honestly think is minimal to that. Because other European countries that are in the EU have their problems with jihadists. So they do also, different countries take different approaches. I think Denmark takes a policy that when their jihadists return from Syria, they go through counselling sessions. Now, it's not for me to tell another country how to deal with its terrorists, but that's what they are. They are terrorists. And I think it is a mistake to treat these people like vulnerable victims of brainwashing, because then it mitigates all personal responsibility and it treats them like the victims. Let's be clear, this guy was going to the Philippines. Abu Sayyaf is not a new organisation, it's an established Islamist organisation that's been engaged in a bloody conflict for years. It's been responsible for scores of civilian deaths. This guy was fully prepared to go there. And at some point, we would have heard a British accent decapitating a hostage. Only a few days ago, it was reported that a German hostage was beheaded. So I really think it's a mistake to go down the line of treating them like victims. Because as soon as you sort of think, oh, well, he was brainwashed or he has mental health issues or something like that, then people even start to feel sorry for them. This scumbag deserves no sympathy. And some people might think my words are blunt, but that's how I feel about it. I really, really think that we need to get very, very hard line on people like this. At this point, there is no way anyone can rationally say they don't know what ISIS and its offshoot groups is all about. And as far as I'm concerned, when they come out with excuses, and this one has been used before, that they think all Western reporting of Muslims is propaganda. Well, firstly, Western reporting of Muslims doesn't vilify Muslims, actually. The BBC is very careful about that. So is other organisations. So when they say that it's all propaganda, well, as far as I'm concerned, they see themselves as a soldier in a war. Therefore, they should be treated as traitors. Of course, they're not soldiers, they're terrorists. But as far as I'm concerned, the treason comes into it on the grounds that they believe in an ideology that is explicitly against this country and what it stands for. This is an ideology that has a stated record of wanting to spread the caliphate violently, that wants to put infidels in chains, metaphorically, that wants to stone drinkers to death. They would have gay people, women, Jews, Muslim minority groups, you name it. Not only as second-class citizens, as essentially slaves. I think this guy is a card insofar as the excuses he is making. And he's lucky he only got 8 years. I think it's relatively lenient given the nature of the offence. Because, like I said, it's not like he was just looking at jihadist websites. This is a guy who had planned and was in the process of going to the other side of the world. And if the Philippine army had blown his head off, quite frankly, you know, I, I would I would think that was something that was absolutely nothing to cry about. Because the lesser jihadists there are in this world, the better. We have to stop blaming geopolitics. We have to stop blaming external factors for what these people do. And there's no moral comparison between people who joined the international brigades in the 30s to go to Spain or other historic examples. And what I find ironic is they always come out with this idea that they're defending Muslims. But the irony about this is that jihadists, or more specifically, Islamist death cultists, think that they are, or they argue that they are defending Muslim civilians, but they have slaughtered hundreds, thousands of Muslim civilians, deemed to be of a lesser sect, deemed to be apostates, or in the wrong place at the wrong time. So these people have no moral argument. Let's be very clear about that. I really think we need to get tough. And quite honestly, we still have a situation in this country. I believe we need to get far more draconian on hate preachers. I still see videos emerging of these guys operating in London, and usually there's some legal red tape that they get around because they can argue their way out of a plastic bag. You know, they're actually pretty manipulative and they're good at doing that. I think there should be a banning on Islamist gatherings outright. Just ban it. Therefore, when they do gather, the police should be given the power to arrest them. And yeah, there would be a risk of unrest, but that is better than allowing this cancer to go unchecked. I believe every single hate preacher in Britain should be treated as a terrorist. It doesn't matter if they haven't explicitly said go and join ISIS. The fact that they're saying it is okay to stone homosexuals, that Jews are second class, you know, you just have to listen to the mindset of these people. I think saying raising the flag of jihad above Downing Street is enough to treat someone like a terrorist. I really, really think, and we need to give the police power to act on this. Because very often the police seem to have their hands tied by red tape. Now some will say, if we go down that path, we're surrendering our values. Here's the thing. Islamists don't respect free speech. They don't believe in those values. When they hold signs saying, free speech, go to hell, don't tell me that their free speech needs to be defended. With free speech comes responsibility, and if you're using your speech to advocate violence, advocate subjugation of another group, then as far as I'm concerned, you know, that argument goes out the window. So I think we really, really need to get tough on these people. Um, I feel disgusted even looking at this guy. So I'll round it up there. We have a real problem with this, and I just don't have much sympathy with the liberal arguments that it's always some external factor. Certainly, jihadist websites are a problem. They should be censored. They should be absolutely blocked. Inspire in all its formats should be absolutely banned. It probably already is. But the fight goes on, and we can never ever be complacent about this. These hate preachers. It's one thing telling them that they're scumbags. They are, but that doesn't wear with them. They need to be told that they are intellectually inferior, that their argument is weak. So I absolutely support an absolutely aggressive propaganda campaign against them. It would be wrong to say this is a war situation, because that then gives them the idea that they're soldiers. But it is a struggle. It is an ideological struggle, and I believe that the way to go about it, it's not to hate all Muslims, because I think that only polarizes Muslims. I think it's to support genuinely secular Muslims who want to take on these people. And as for converts, they can't whinge if they're treated with suspicion, given the disproportionate number of converts who are involved in this. That's not to say every convert is, but they need to answer to this. They may not be personally responsible, but they have to stop pretending that there is not a problem and saying Islam is peace and people misunderstand it. I mean, Lindsay Lohan has been in the press a lot for this. Um, I don't think she's an extremist, but I do think she's incredibly naive. That's my honest opinion. Um, and what I find about a lot of converts is they tend to be very dewy-eyed. They tend to see things in black and white, in the sense that they always say Islam is perfect and people misunderstand it. They're even bigger apologists than some people who come from Muslim backgrounds. So the argument, by the way, about doing it for defending Muslim people is a lot of crap, and that needs to be exposed, because they kill Muslim civilians. Hell, they've probably killed a lot more Muslims than anyone else. That atrocity in Pakistan, like I say recently, is directed at a Sufi shrine because Sufis are considered to be apostates. But it's a branch of Islam. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll put a link to this article, but we really need to show no mercy to these people. They are not, sympathy cases. They are terrorists. Let's make no mistake about that. It would be a bit different if someone had genuine mental health problems, like serious learning difficulties, and a doctor testified to that. Then it'd be a bit more sort of understanding. But when someone has organized a trip, anyone who's ever organized a holiday knows it takes a certain degree of planning. Now, someone who's very mentally vulnerable cannot do that. So let's be realistic about this. And some people might say sending him to prison will only make it worse. But as far as I'm concerned, he's already about as extreme as he's going to get. Had he got to the Philippines, I have no doubt we would have seen him in, an Abu Sayyaf video beheading a hostage. Only a few days ago, a German man was beheaded. So the argument that sending him to prison will make him worse, he's already as bad as it'll get. I mean, how much worse do you have to be to send someone to prison? That's what I want to know from those liberals who say that, oh, it'll only make him worse. Give me a break. This guy is a terrorist scumbag and he should be treated as such. As for hate preachers, we should show them no mercy. I'm sick and tired of seeing videos, seeing them gathering outside mosques. They don't go in the mosques because a lot of mosques in Britain are starting to take a hard line and have basically expelled them. But we need to take a hard line and totally polarize these people, treat them like criminals, because that is what they are.